Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Miss Liz's Tea Times. That's right, it's afternoon tea. And today in the studio, I am joined with Debby Bibaud. She is a lady who has created the Skin I'm In experience. I asked her to join me in the studio today because I want to bring empowerment. And today is an incredible day for us to bring empowerment as it's the International Women's Day. So I'm going to let Debby, right?
That's okay. You can call me Deborah. If you're mad at me, call me Deborah.
Okay, I won't call you Deborah then. I'll let Debby share a little bit on what the Skin I'm In experience and a little bit more of all the good stuff that she's involved with. So Debby, the stage is all yours.
Thank you. Well, I bought my camera about 5 years ago. I wanted to document the life of an obese person, as I was obese at the time, and I was walking through this course and process to get gastric bypass surgery. So I wanted to have a documentation of what we call NSVs, which are non-scale victories. So I bought my camera to do that, and I started just really falling in love with taking pictures. After I had my surgery, I never got the chance to really access the taking pictures and doing. I didn't get the motivation, I guess, to do the NSVs and tracking it. So a couple of years later, I lost 200 pounds, and there is the owner of the Humans of Edmonton Experience. He's a photographer too, and he contacted me, and he did a few posts for me before of things that have happened, and this was probably the most powerful one. So he asked if it would be okay if I showed the world what I was hiding, and I had lost a lot. I had a lot of extra skin. Actually, they had to take off 10 pounds of skin, and
wow.
I wanted to document what it felt like after 200 pounds. I look great on the outside, but when I take my clothes off, I'm hiding this from the world. And I felt I was a fraud. I felt nobody really knows what I go through. And it wasn't fair to me because I felt fake. So I needed to be completely honest with how I felt, and by potentially being rejected by so many people, that's the only way I felt accepted, is by potentially being rejected. I never was. We posted it on Humans Edmonton. They have over 20,000 followers, and not one terrible bad comment. All supportive, beautiful, loving, exactly how I would treat somebody who was vulnerable too. So that changed my life. And then I realized I wanted to do this for other women because I felt so free after you can trust somebody that much to take that vulnerable of a picture. If you can actually trust somebody like that, that's a beautiful thing. And I wanted to be that for other people. So I put a post out. I had a weight loss group I was in, other people who are thinking about surgery or getting surgery. And I put a post out saying, if anybody wants to be a part of this project called the Skin I'm In experience, where you can be truly vulnerable, this is what you have to do. There's going to be a male and a female photographer, but I want you to be honest with your story. You can't judge a book by its cover, right? And so we got 4 other ladies, and their stories are so powerful that I had to take a break because, holy man, they let it all out. They were so ready to be vulnerable and open, and it was so beautiful. And to give them that freedom and to be that person to say, okay, I can do this for you and you're safe. That's why I do this.
Do you find that it empowers them after the photo shoot or before the photo shoot?
I think they're empowered when they said yes to coming.
Okay.
Then they get really, and this is from my own experience of doing the shoots also with myself. So I got very shy and I didn't want to do it. And it just took a little bit of coaching, and just not just coaching, but like encouraging and saying, I accept you for who you are. And you just see at the beginning, I love taking shoots from the very beginning to the very end, because by the end of it, they're just so comfortable. They're laughing, they're enjoying themselves. That's what it's about. And then after we do the shoot, they get dressed, and then we have tea and we talk about it. And we talk about how it was for them, how their story was, why they felt they needed to do it like this, and what made them feel vulnerable. And we talk about for at least a good hour after. So after they're processing what they're going through, because when I got mine, it was just boom, boom, shot, done. I didn't get a chance to talk about it
Oh,
after.
wow.
It was, but I think I needed it like that. But I know that other people are going to benefit from sitting down and talking to the photographers and sharing their stories and connecting. And I have so many, like, the ladies that I shot for, we're all like really good friends now because we're able to be vulnerable.
Do you find that a lot of the people that want photo shoots for the skin, I mean, are sexual abuse victims, like
I think
survivors, or?
every single story has been sexual survivor.
Oh,
Yep,
wow.
every single story so far,
That
except for
is
mine.
cool.
Well, now, yeah, actually, mine not just not childhood, but
Yeah. No, that's cool to know that they join, right?
yeah, there's a big. I think that's a way that I use to protect myself from advances from guys. I use that as a barrier. My weight was a barrier, and like, yeah, I don't I don't feel attractive. You're not going to find me attractive. I'm safe.
Yeah.
But once I got the surgery and got my stomach, the skin removed, I felt so vulnerable. It was this that was probably the biggest change I could say. I just felt more vulnerable than when I had that. That was protection for me. That was a reason for me not to be the best I could be.
Yeah. And how many photo shoots have you done so far with the skin I'm in?
We've done, including mine, 5, and we're looking for more. And it's not just for women. It's not just for because I didn't want it just to limit to what an issue is. So obesity is definitely one part of the puzzle, but there is mental illness that you can't see on the outside. There's MS that you can't see on the outside. There's so many other things that and ailments that people are going through that I think can help other people who are ready to be honest and vulnerable. By them sharing it, everybody else is gonna who feels like that is gonna be able to relate. So I want to keep it relatable and help others help each other.
Exactly. And we shouldn't be ashamed of our bodies, right? Our
Oh,
bodies
exactly.
are our bodies
They're
are like our vessels, right? So
yeah, they're encasing. It has no absolutely no effect on who you are on the inside.
exactly. And a lot
And
of people, they look on the outside, right? But they
yeah,
don't see what's in the inside.
and growing up obese, I had to really dig deep into my heart and into my soul and really find out who I was because I just felt that like by being obese, I other people judged you. They definitely did. And I had to really get to know myself and be my own best friend. And in that, now that I lost weight, I'm still my own best friend, and I still treat people how I want to be treated. I know if I wasn't blessed with being obese, and I know that sounds really really weird to say, but if I didn't receive that lesson, I know I wouldn't be as compassionate and as sensitive and as empathetic as I am right now. I remember I started gaining weight in about grade 3, and I know I judged people in grade 2, and I remember how I acted, so I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I'm just happy that it gave me that gift, right?
Well, it's like everything, right? Everything has to happen in order for us to be who we are today. If that wouldn't
Yeah,
have happened to you, you wouldn't be here today, right? Like
yeah,
you wouldn't be doing all these incredible things that you're doing. So,
so
what
true.
what other things are you doing besides the skin I'm in
I have another
experience?
page that I do a lot of poetry, Debbie's
Okay.
Doodles and Poems,
Okay.
and my poetry it's they're like messages for. I thought they were for other people until I started reading them like 3 months after I write them, and I'm just like, oh wow, this is message from me to me. So all these messages, I thought I'm thinking them, oh, I'm giving out to everybody who needs the help, but it's me that needs help. So yeah, somebody asked me to write them a poem, and I wrote a poem, and it just kind of came to me what he needed, and I love writing poetry for people.
Oh, that's amazing. And I'm the same way. I love poetry, right?
Oh, me too.
It's the words that we can not always say out loud, we can write on the paper, right?
Yes, write it out,
So,
and yeah, last night I actually went to my first poetry kind of event, and I was prepared to read a poem, but it was kind of last minute. So I went, and like a lot of people canceled. I was able to read 3 of my poems, and it just felt so amazing, and seeing everybody else's talent. Holy, there's some amazing people.
oh wow.
incredible people and what they go through and how they're helping each other and others with their poetry.
Is there a certain poem that you relate to, that you turn to all the time? Is it a poem that you wrote or a poem that you've read?
I really I'm a big fan of quotes
Okay.
because it's poetry to me. But one that stands out is Dr. Seuss.
Oh.
You're you, that is true as in true. There's no one alive that's youer than you.
Oh, I love that.
Isn't that beautiful?
I really love that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my
Good old
favorites.
Dr. Seuss, right?
Right, the Dr. Seuss. And I mean, there's so many amazing poets out there. So
Yeah.
many incredible. I can't even go through them, but that is just such a simple. Everyone who reads it and sees it understand it, and
Yeah.
then they look at it and hopefully get a little bit of spark, right?
Mm-hmm. So I see that you're drinking tea. So what kind of tea are you drinking?
I am drinking. It's actually it's called Moringa. It's from Zija.
Oh, cool.
You can order on Zija. It's Moringa. It's a oiled ancient plant that they use, and it gives you all the nutrients. It tastes like a cider almost, but it's been really helping me with my mental health. I suffer from depression, which I just kind of got onset. I just got diagnosed 2 years ago with bipolar type 1. So I've been drinking this every day, and I notice a huge difference when I don't drink it and when I do drink it. And I feel better when I drink it. So I'm going to choose to feel better, right? I can't hear you. Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me, Deb?
I can now. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and Nat Chicopee, she says, I love that poem too.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I wouldn't mind reading one if you guys are up for listening to a poem.
For sure.
Let's find one here. I'll find one that I read. I wrote for one of the ladies that was in a participant in the Skin I'm In experience, and I just could tell she was going through a hard time, and I wanted to kind of uplift her a little bit. So let me just find it here.
So while we're waiting, what Deborah does is she takes a photo shoot of people, women so far, but she's looking for other people, men as well. And she brings the beauty out through taking a picture of them in their, a naked picture of them,
Yes.
and lets them see the beauty that is within their skin. We as people should not be afraid of our skins. Like, we live in these bodies for a reason, and we're all made different, right? It's like a cup of tea. We're all made different, and we each have our own special flavors to bring to the world. So we shouldn't be ashamed of them. So Deb's going to read one of the poems she wrote, I believe, for one of the participants in the Skin Within experience.
Yes. And it's called Perspective is Reality. Perspective is reality, or so we thought. It's what we're taught. Perspective is just this, and it's just that. Perspective is reality till we're old, till we're cold. It all depends on which side of the river you swim. It all depends if you sunk, drowned, stay down, or if you rose from the depths within. Brush shoulders with death, yet still the drive, still the thought to stay alive. The helpless or the hero? The one to save another lost soul in need of love, or to be another lost soul searching for a hand? If the perceived helpless one is yourself, in need of light, stop to look, stop to see. The one you're helping just might be me. Behind the lens and search for truth. To be so honest and to be so brave, you just don't know who you might save. You're not tied down to your limited perspective of choosing the helpless or the hero. We are both. Our perspective changes based on who you meet, on who you greet. No one is losing. We take what we need from experiences to share, holding on to information gathered when ready to lay it out bare.
Wow. Beautiful, Deb.
Thank you.
That's really, really beautiful.
Thank you.
During your experience with the Skin Within, who took your picture and how did you find out about that?
Okay, so I actually randomly saw these beautiful pictures from the Humans of Edmonton Experience page, and I immediately had to message this photographer We remained friends for probably a good 2 years without actually ever meeting. We met at an anonymous rally because Anonymous had helped me, and I was doing photography for them. And that's Jerry Cordero. He was there as well. So that's when we're like, oh, we finally met. Because Anonymous had helped me out with my story previously and got my post out about the RCMP officer after a sexual assault said it was my fault, and I refused to let that be the answer. So I asked Anonymous to post a post for me. I needed to get it out and say this isn't right, and I needed other people to say, hey, it happened to me. It's not right. You're right. So that's where it started for me to start posting my things. And I told him about it. He asked if he can post my stories, and I said absolutely. So I was able to write and express myself through my photography, through my words. So he asked one day, Jerry asked if it would be okay. I've always wanted to do this obesity awareness, and he asked. He said, "Can I take a picture of you?" I'm like, oh. First I was no, I was terrified. I'm like, oh, no way. And then I'm like, you know what? Yeah, way. Yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be the first one to know what it feels like to be completely unapologetically um, safe and myself. I was going to say vulnerable, but vulnerability it has a bit of fear to it. I wasn't afraid.
Okay.
After I had it, I wasn't vulnerable. I was the most strong I've ever been after I got that picture and our eyes connected, and I'm like, thank you for taking care of me. Yeah.
So, and you carried on with the project, or are you part of the project? How does that work?
Well, I carried on with it. He comes and joins every once in a while, but it's my baby
Okay.
because this is what I've always wanted to do. Eventually, I want to travel and get people's stories, and if they want to get them published. My goal for the obesity portion of it, I want to get this into a book.
Oh,
And
wow.
all the proceeds I want to go towards the participants to get skin removal surgery done because it's not covered in Canada. And that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to write and document it, because look at the difference in my life after I got it done. So I was able to get the skin removal surgery. I only had to pay $4,000 for a breast
Wow.
implant. And the only reason, and I got it all, I was able to fundraise for that in a month. So it was pretty amazing that I could have that support from other people.
Yeah.
But the only reason I was able to get that price is because the doctor, the surgeon, he worked out of the burn victim unit, so he was able to write off the surgery as a donation to research for burn
Oh,
victims.
so it's not covered anywhere in Canada?
No. Well,
Oh,
I think it can. I don't know the logistics of it. There is a certain portion that is, but it's not. You have to pay for extras, and if you don't have that extra money to pay for the extras that need to get done, then you can't get the surgery.
and that process of the whole skin removal and that, how long did that take?
It was I don't know how long in the surgery it was, but it to recover it was at least probably a good 3-4 weeks.
Oh, wow.
It was very painful. But I went through it and I learned that pain, I can't push the pain away, I have to feel it. And that taught me to feel the pain no matter how unpleasant it was. It was there, and I learned how to manage it. It was actually quite an experience.
So, what message would you like to give everyone for this experience?
I say go for it, do what you need to do. Don't be afraid to say what you want, who you
Okay.
are, and just be proud of who you are, because you're here for a reason, and the shell that you come in is just merely a container of your soul. And if somebody judges you based on that, then that's not that. You just have to let that roll off your back, because it has nothing to do with who you are inside.
Exactly. And is there anything else that you're a part of, Deb?
Oh, yes, I have another page called Debbie, I Believe You. And I
Okay.
advocate for women, men, children, whoever has been sexually assaulted, or any domestic violence, that kind of thing. It happened to me, and I wasn't treated properly by the authorities. I didn't take no for an answer. I made a formal complaint. I stood up. I went to Global News about it. They have a 3-part series on how first responders, if they're even trained to deal with sexual assault or rape cases.
Okay.
There's no protocol. She did all this research. After the 3rd month, I think it was in March actually, she messaged me. Sarah Kraus from Global Edmonton messaged me, the one that was doing the story, saying we have some amazing news for you. And she was working with the sexual assault SACE,
Okay.
SACE, and they created a card that needs to go out to the officers on every single sexual assault case or rape case or domestic violence case. And on the front of it is everything that you could imagine you would want to hear from the officer if they're not capable of doing it because they're not trained properly. And on the back is a list of resources.
We need to change that.
Yes, it needs to be protocol. This needs to be protocol. It can't just be, oh, here you have this just in case. Everyone they need to read it out to the person. Actually, I think the officer should read that to them. And just so they gain that confidence of, I believe you as soon as you get the call, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and that takes great courage, right, to do what you did. Like, you stood up, and I'm very proud of you for doing that.
Thank you.
Amazing. We need more people like you out there, Deb, who enforce change, because we need to make a difference. And you're one of them. You're making a difference for so many, because by you standing up, now that protocol is enforced, so.
Yeah. No, it's and for me, where I work, there's a lot of processes and there's lots of ones that don't work, right? And I'm been trained to basically troubleshoot and to find out a process that's more efficient, that works. And how he felt it worked, it wasn't working, and it didn't work for me. So I went to the RCMP station. They weren't willing helping what happened, so I went higher than them, and I took no for no. It was not an answer. I couldn't accept it.
Yeah. Well, and by that, right, by being assaulted, they don't take a no for an answer, right? So for you to step up and say, you know what, you're going to listen to my no. You know what I mean? Like, that takes empowering. A lot of courage.
It was very empowering. It was scary, having the cameras come to my house, and I had to be very honest with everything, and it was very scary to be like that. But I'm just so relieved that it was healing for me to let it out. Mm-hmm. To let it out and let other people know that it happened to me. That healed me.
And I believe you shared that story in Sacred Hearts Rising, right? Book 3?
Yes, book 3. I actually talk about my chapter's called Choices in Forgiveness.
Okay.
And I learned how to truly, utterly, not only forgive myself, but everybody involved. And I've learned that it's a process. It isn't as easy as just saying, I forgive you or I forgive me. There's actually a process to forgiveness. And there's 3 kinds of forgiveness. And there's just, by knowing how to forgive, it's the most amazing thing. It's like learning how to exercise. Sometimes you need a trainer to show you, and who showed me was Jay Shetty. I'm on his Genius group.
Okay.
And he does a weekly live every week, and a different topic every month. And the first year anniversary of when it happened, he usually goes on Sunday, but it was on a Tuesday, and he went on the day before, and it's all on forgiveness and how to forgive. And I took notes, and I learned how to forgive before that anniversary came up.
So do you do that when you watch a podcast or something, or a program, take notes?
Yes, I love taking notes, because otherwise it makes sense to me right now, but maybe later something that I write down is going to stand out and be like, okay, I forgot about that, or I wasn't listening, but because when you miss certain things, like even when you're watching a movie, you only pay attention to what you can relate to at that moment. So a few months down the road, you'll relate to it more, right? Just like my poetry.
Well, we're in different sets of minds at the same time, right? So one day this will resonate with us, and another day it won't. We'll be like, well, what is that like? And then other days we'll be like, oh, I get that. Yeah,
exactly.
And it's like you said, forgiveness. There are three different kinds of forgiveness, right? And if you'd like to share a little bit on the three types of
Sure.
forgiveness,
Let me just find here.
because I think a lot of people need to understand that by saying you forgive somebody, it doesn't mean that you allow their behavior,
Yes.
right? You're bringing peace to yourself by forgiving. You're not
Yeah.
saying, okay, what you did to me was right. You're saying, you know what, I forgive you so I can move forward. I know for myself, that's how I look at forgiveness, or I take it as a lesson, at that time, it was a lesson that needed to be taught.
Yeah.
And I forgive you and I move forward, right?
And so the three types of forgiveness, the first is conditional forgiveness. And that means that in order to forgive, someone must admit that they did something wrong and apologize. Then there's transformational forgiveness, and that helps you become a better person. When we forgive, anger, fatigue, signs of depression are reduced. And then there's the third type of forgiveness, and that's unconditional forgiveness, and that pretty much speaks for itself. Um, and just knowing that there are three types of forgiveness really sets the bar for me. And okay, so when I forgive and I still want that apology, okay, that's conditional forgiveness. Do I want to only conditionally forgive somebody, or do I want to unconditionally forgive them? And it's about staying conscious and being aware, and knowledge is power, right?
Exactly. And if we don't know, we can't change, right?
Yeah, we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah. I'm big on asking. If you don't know, ask a question. Whether you
Yeah,
like the answer or not, just ask the question. Because if you don't ask,
exactly.
you don't know, right? And then you live with
Exactly.
regret, and you live with the, oh my God, woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? So,
Yep. And I never should myself. I don't say, oh, I should do this. It's either I'm going to do this, or I'm not going to do this. I'm making a choice,
yeah.
or instead of a should have, I didn't do this, I chose not to, or I did choose to. Instead of the should just keeps you in that state of guilt, shame,
hmm
blame.
Yeah, the pity pot,
Pity
right?
party. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do that well.
But
Yeah,
that's okay as long as you acknowledge it, right?
yeah, no, I don't do shoulds well. Like, I'm like, you know what? Nah, I gotta move away. Like,
Yeah.
that energy for me is not good. So,
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. I don't live with regrets in life. I feel at the time, at that moment, the choice and decision I decided to make,
mhm.
and it was for my higher good. If it wasn't, I learned a lesson because it was for my higher good. So I don't live with regrets.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you'd like to share on tea time before I wrap up?
Well, I love that you are a Sacred Heart sister with me, and we're going to be in the third book together, which is amazing. I'm very excited to have it printed and to see my work published. This will be the second book I'm in. Actually, the first one, all my poetry is in the Book of Kindness,
Oh,
and it's all the proceeds are going towards Takwa Ahmed, who's
yes.
also her sister, to get her. And she has spina bifida. She's 12 years old, amazing young woman, peace ambassador of Pakistan. I can't even remember all the titles she has, but she's one incredible girl. So all the proceeds to that are going to her and her family.
Yeah, I'll actually have Tigra on when she's feeling a little bit
Oh,
better.
good.
She's one of my future guests. So,
Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome.
we're kind of close. We've connected. I've connected with everyone from Sacred Hearts, right? It's like a sisterhood and brotherhood, like an amazing team, right?
It's
So
gorgeous.
if anybody hasn't heard of Sacred Hearts Rising, check out Sacred Hearts Rising .com. There's amazing things going on. The launch for book 3 is coming, I believe, March or April. Check out the website. I'll put that in the comments as well. Deb, if there's anything that you're a part of, put it in the comments so people can check it out
Sure.
and get a hold of you, right?
Sure. And like, if you have any questions or anything, or you're going through a hard time, you just need a just someone to talk to or listen to. I'm always the message away. I can't, maybe won't be able to solve your problem, but it's always nice to have someone to listen.
Yeah. And it's going to be a blast because there's amazing things coming on May 1st and May 2nd. Like, I look forward to that summit every year.
Oh,
Like,
I'm so
that is,
excited.
and that's the only time I get to see you guys in person, right? Besides
Yeah.
that, it's through screen. So I cherish that moment. So yeah, if anybody would like to know more about Sacred Hearts, check out their website. I am in book 1, 2, and 3. I'm honored to be in book 3 with Deb and Tagwa. I can't wait to read your stories, both of yous, both empowering women. So for tea time today, we talked about the skin within, the skin I'm
Skin
in,
I'm in
the
experience.
skin I'm in experience. And for that, it's to be aware of our skins, that we're beautiful the way we are, you know, whether the size of our bodies, we are beautiful. And the skin I'm in is beautiful, and we need to bring that and shine our light and that. So, Deb, thank you so much for joining me in the studio today, and I will get you out there. And if there's anybody who has any questions or anything about Deb's experience with the skin I'm in, or would like to be a part of the skin I'm in, can get a hold of Deb. Deb will put all of her information in at the bottom. We'll put on all that good, juicy details for Sacred Hearts Rising and all the good stuff that they're doing. If you'd like to know more about Sacred Hearts Rising, reach out to Brenda Hammond. She is the CEO and founder of Sacred Hearts. So reach out to her. Amazing woman. She has changed lives as well. I'm hoping to have her on Tea Time in the future. So one step at a time, right? And we're going to make a difference with one cup of tea at a time. And thank you for joining me, Miss Liz, for Tea Time.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.